Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me is Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains at Tiny Brains. Say hello, Peter.
Hello all.
So, as always, what we do on this podcast is we go through the biggest stories in XR from the previous week, and we're going to start off with a pretty big one.
Well, this is a rumor that's come via Twitter, X, however you want to call it, and it's to do with third-party headsets for Horizon OS. The leak is, well, the rumor is that it's good. It's from Asus, and it's the little nugget is that their headsets, which Meta have partially said there are going to be headsets from companies like Asus and Lenovo. Their headset is going to feature eye tracking and face tracking. Now, this is from a leaker, a well-known leaker called Luna, and this appeared during CES. And yeah, this is the sort of first details that we have of third-party headsets that could feature some high-end technology. Now, the Horizon OS news came like last year. Meta announced this back in April that they were going to open it up to third-party vendors. So this partially not a surprise, but it's interesting to hear that it's supposedly going to have eye and face tracking because these are high-end technologies that they're not Quest level technologies, are they? Sort of Quest 3, Quest 3S. They're Quest Pro level.
So this is part, as you correctly said, Pete. This is part of that initiative to bring more vendors, different hardware. It's essentially a plan, in my mind, for Facebook to reduce their investment in the headsets and accelerate their investment in the software, which I think was ultimately the goal. It's the Android phone model, the Windows PC model, and what also looks like to be moving forward Microsoft's model with Xbox. So it's not a shock. And it's also not a shock to me that different headsets will have different feature sets because a company like Asus might be looking at this and think there is a gap in the market for a high-end standalone right now because the highest end standalone we have is the Quest 3. And yeah, there's a bit of a gap between a Quest 3 and a PC VR headset.
Yeah, you're quite right. So, how far along we are on with this news and what might come of it, we'll have to wait and see. It's like I say, this is still a rumor at the end of the day. Luna has revealed quite a bit of Quest information in the past, so a lot of people are going, okay, this is very interesting.
It's a
But you
believable rumor, is what it is.
exactly, yes, it's not too far-fetched, but you still have to take these things with a pinch of salt, don't you?
So sticking with Meta, we have more Meta news coming out this week or last week.
Yeah. So this is a slightly more techie in the fact that Meta and Plessey, who are a UK-based, they're a AR display maker. They make display units that Meta have been collaborating with since about 2020. Well, they've just announced that they've created a super bright. It was a red micro LED, which is super efficient. You might say, well, what's the new news in that? Well, this is the step forwards that we've constantly spoken about in terms of AR. This is for AR headsets, and red is notoriously the least efficient. So when you look at the different displays for green, blue, and red, green is the most efficient in terms of energy. Then it's blue, and then it's red. So the announcement that they've made a super efficient red display is quite interesting because it means full color AR glasses are, there's another step in that direction, which is great news.
Now, on this podcast, we have mentioned many times that we believe AR is going to get a big push this year, and love to be proven right.
Yeah, exactly. Now this follows on from last September during Meta Connect when they showcased Orion. Now this isn't going to be a consumer set of AR glasses, but it still showcases Meta's drive to push AR forward. And while we probably won't see it in like an Orion, these micro LED displays will eventually come into some sort of a consumer product later down the line. It might be a few years away yet, but It's good. It's good news.
But yeah, the fact of the matter is that we are walking down a road that will eventually lead to these technologies becoming affordable and thus being used in consumer products. I mean, we just literally talked about a new headset with eye tracking being a consumer product, whereas you and I, Pete, both know that 10 years ago, a consumer headset with eye tracking built in, mm, maybe not. So yeah, I see this as good news, even if it is several years away.
Agreed.
So, carrying on, we're sticking with the
So,
hardware news for a bit, but we're moving away from Meta and into another VR hardware vendor.
yeah, good old Pimax. Everyone loves a bit of Pimax. They've been around for years. And the most recent news is that they've raised some additional funding to the tune of $13.6 million, which it was in a recent series, an additional Series C funding round. And it brings their total investment up to 82.7 million, which is, good for Pimax.
Not spare change.
Not spare change at all. No, it's all going to be funneled into their R&D departments. Most specifically, they're going to expand their R&D departments in the US and open a new one in Europe. So us Europeans are going to get a nice R&D department from Pimax.
Give us a call, Pimax. We'd love to work with you.
Yeah, this is the headset company most well, they're renowned for their wide FOV displays, and currently it's their Crystal series, which is their main seller. They've got the Crystal Light and the upcoming Crystal Super, which are coming out this year. They also revealed last month their Dream Air, which is their PC VR headset, which is set to arrive in May this year for about $1,900. And this is going down the line of the super slim, compact PC VR headsets that we're starting to see from, the likes of Big Screen Beyond. So this is going to be Pimax's latest edition. So possibly this funding will go towards more of their PC VR headsets.
So yeah, Pimax. I've enjoyed Pimax headsets. They've been decent. The higher end of the mid tier, in my opinion. It's like they're not Vario or anything like that, but they are good quality headsets. Along the lines of an index with clearer screens, essentially. That kind of tier. And so yeah, it's good to see that another hardware vendor is raising capital and keeping that market competitive.
Yeah, showing there is interest out there still for VR and hardware in general.
So moving on from the hardware news, we have a bit of a curveball now. Now I'm very sorry if I butcher your name, despite the fact that we have met several times. Shuhei Yoshida. Um, Apparently, Yoshida has left Sony. Now the reason why we're discussing this on this podcast is because Yoshida was a huge fan of the PlayStation VR. In fact, it was him that initially announced it, and I actually had the honor of sitting next to him during that press conference, which was lovely, right up until the moment he went on stage. And he's been a big proponent of indie developers creating content for VR. So, yeah, it, it's sad. It's sad for VR.
Yeah, well, he's been at PlayStation for forever, really, because he was there at the start from the very first PlayStation back in the 90s. He's been there for 32 years, so he's seen it all and done it all. And there's a lot of respect for Mr. Yoshida for across the world from all gamers. But yes, particularly from where we're concerned, he announced Project Morpheus, as it was called, back in 2014, and then spearheaded all the PSVR marketing in terms of pushing it out, talking about it to everyone that would listen. And yes, while he has now gone into other parts of or went into other parts of Sony Interactive Entertainment, he was world president of their worldwide studios, and as you say, head of indies as well. So he's done a lot, but in terms of pushing VR, especially in the early days, he was a key figurehead.
And 32 years, and he still looks like a spring chicken. So well done, Yoshida. We hope he'll stick around in the games industry. I don't actually know what he's moving on to. Have you heard anything, Pete?
No, I don't think he's revealed anything just yet.
We got space at Tiny Brains. Come on board. Come on board.
Yeah.
So finally, we're going to close with some gaming news, as we always do, and we got good old Sanzaru back on the block.
Yes, Sanzaru, they've just released their final major update for Asgard's Wrath 2, which arrived a couple of years ago now, the end of 2023, I believe. Don't don't, don't collar me if if that's quite incorrect. But yes, they've released their final update, and they said all they're going to do now for for Asgard's Wrath is just they're going to do bugs and fixes. They're now looking at focusing on what they term their next big thing. They're switching focus. They haven't revealed what they're going to quite do, but considering they're veterans in the VR space, and they've made two of the biggest adventure games for VR in terms of the Asgard's Wrath franchise. I think a lot of people have a lot of excitement about what they're going to do next, especially if as they've said, switching focus, which is interesting. So maybe they're not going to do an adventure game. Maybe they're going to do something else.
Well, one of their first big hits in VR was a sports title, if I recall correctly.
Hmm.
So maybe they're going back to that. Maybe we can go see some good old American football mini games back. I don't think that's where they're going.
Well,
But
you've
yeah,
also got to consider that they are owned by Meta as well. They were acquired by Meta. Well, I think it was Oculus back then when they were acquired. But yes, they are part of the Meta family. So they may be going down, as Meta said last year, their new initiative is for games that are more lifestyle and that sort of thing. So maybe Sanzari might be doing a kind of lifestyle game, fitness games. Who knows?
we can only hope not. Um, but yes, good luck, Sanzaru, whatever it is that you're doing. We look forward to seeing it. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you have a news story that you'd like to have featured on this show, or if you'd like to come on and talk about something you're working on, we're more than happy to accommodate. So please feel free to reach out at any of the channels listed below or anywhere, because Pete and I are everywhere. Get in touch, and we hope to see you again next week.